And the Wolves win 117-110. Score a little misleading. Kerr took his starters out late in the fourth. The reserves made a little close in the end, but never really felt in doubt after that third quarter. Julius Randle, how about his series? 31 points for the Warriors. Jonathan Minga, another good performance, 23 points. Jimmy Butler, only 14 and 6. Buddy Hield didn't even give you 20. And now the Warriors are on the brink of elimination without their superstar, Steph Curry. Time now to bring in CBS Sports NBA analyst John Gonzalez and NBA champion, former NBA Coach of the Year, Avery Johnson. And y'all, we have been waiting to see Anthony Edwards put together a complete game right from start to finish. I think we saw that on this night. He just exploded in that third quarter. John, what did you see from him that he didn't do in the previous games that he did here on this night to give the Wolves a 3-1 lead?
Well, I thought, that first half wasn't great for the Wolves, and then at the half, as they're going into the half, Ant hit that big shot at the buzzer, and that really got them going, and they torched the Warriors in the second half. He was super aggressive. He had 30 points tonight, Ant did. 6 threes from him. He had almost as many threes by himself as the Warriors did, and from there, they're off and running. And you mentioned Julius Randle. He's been awesome this series. He's been great in the playoffs. Jaden McDaniels had a double-double and played some great defense. The Warriors just did not have enough, and Ant really stepped forward. And all of a sudden, pre-Ant, the Wolves as a franchise were a disaster. They're on the brink of going to the Western Conference Finals again. He has changed the complexion of this team and of this organization, and he deserves all the credit coming his way.
Yeah, in this situation, the Warriors need Jimmy Butler to play at an all-star MVP level without Steph Curry. Jimmy can't have 12 or 14 points. His point total have to start with a 3, like 30, 32, 35. But his effort tonight, if they have this same type of game on Wednesday night, this series will be over quickly. As I've said all along, I've had a strained hamstring. Unless there's some miracle treatment that Steph Curry is going to receive, I don't see him coming back. And if he comes back, I think he'll only be 50%. I'll be shocked if he comes back and play on Wednesday the way he was playing at a high level and beat us normal Steph Curry. Julius Randle, I've been knowing this young man since he was 7, 8 years old. And he was a man-child on AAU, high school, and man, he was phenomenal tonight. He played at a terrific level. His physicality really affected this game. And he and Anthony Edwards, what was 10 for 19 from 3 combined, sensational performance by Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards combined tonight.
Yeah, Julius Randle has been the most consistent player of the series for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Don't think a lot of people would have expected that, given who they have on their team, of course, Anthony Edwards. Now, when we talk about Jimmy Butler, Coach brought it up, John. In the pregame, you said the key for the Wolves to win is to make sure Jimmy Butler doesn't beat you. 14 points on 9 shots. So was this more of the way Minnesota guarded him, or was it just Jimmy simply not being as aggressive as we've seen him before, like in the previous game?
Yeah, I thought the Wolves' defense on him was good, but yeah, not as aggressive. I mean, Avery nailed it. They needed playoff Jimmy to step forward and have a monstrous game scoring the ball. When you don't have Steph Curry out there, you're going to be limited in your offense, right? You're going to need a whole bunch of people to stitch together their offensive game and be greater than the sum of their parts, but that starts with Jimmy Butler, and for him to only have 9 shots in 34 minutes is inexcusable. Chris and Avery, there were 4 other Warriors who took more shots tonight than Jimmy Butler. You just can't have that. You needed Jimmy Butler to come out there assertive, dominant as the alpha and lead that team offensively. And then you needed to lock down on defense. And they did neither of those things. Yeah, they scored 110 points. They gave up 117. And as you said, Chris, when you opened it up, that was misleading on both fronts because the Warriors kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit. Look, playoff Jimmy, we've seen it happen before. He's been excellent. But Jimmy Butler mentioned it when Steph Curry went out. He said things change when Steph Curry leaves because it's so much easier for all of us when Steph is on the floor. When they first got Jimmy, we were talking about Jimmy making things easier for everybody else. But without Steph, Jimmy just has not had it, and he didn't have it tonight. 9 shots, that's never going to get it done.
Yeah, especially with their backs against the wall, without your star, your superstar, your franchise player. Avery, when you look at how the Warriors played and some of the guys who didn't really show up outside of Jimmy Butler, who's somebody that you were really disappointed in and you wanted more from them in this game?
I'm trying to figure out what happened with Moses Moody. I mean, this kid, he's a pretty good offensive player. He can't find the basket. And, they're at the end of the game, just shot an air ball. I don't know what's happening to this kid's confidence, his game. Obviously Gary Payton, they need him to play better offensively. But I'm looking for Moses Moody. And then Draymond Green. I know he talks a big game. He talks about he can score more if the team need him to score more. Well, buddy, they need you to score more. And let me make one more point about back to Jimmy Butler. McDaniels, Julius Randle, obviously Anthony Edwards. This is one of the reasons why I picked Minnesota, even if Steph Curry was in uniform, to win this series. I thought they would limit and minimize Jimmy Butler's performance and his effectiveness, and that's holding true in this series.
Absolutely. Minnesota, one of the better defensive teams in the league. And, when we look at Game 5, right, Steph Curry, that's when he's going to be reevaluated. Don't expect him to play in Game 5. The likely scenario is he'll be able to play in Game 6 if we get to a Game 6. So, Avery, I'll go back to you. How much urgency should there be with the Minnesota Timberwolves to take down the Warriors in 5 and not mess around any further?
Great point, Chris. And I think that would be my message if I'm coaching Minnesota. Whether Steph Curry plays or not, we're going to prepare as if he plays. And if he plays, he's going to be involved in everything we do defensively. He's never going to really rest on defense. But if he doesn't play, we got to act like he's out there and take Golden State really seriously. There's no surrender. There's no letdown. We're not going to try to act like we're the Harlem Globetrotters and throw the ball all over the gym and turn the ball over. We're going to take care of the basketball, win the rebound game, defend the paint. The Warriors, without Steph in the lineup, they probably aren't capable of making 10 three-point shots because Buddy Hield's not going to get those open shots. Neither is Jimmy Butler. So I'm really trying to put the nail in the coffin. Focus, focus, focus. No silliness, no immaturity, but just play Minnesota Timberwolves basketball. And if they play 90% of how they played tonight, they'll finish the Warriors off at home.
Yeah, Avery's right. I mean, they have the Warriors with their backs up against the wall, right? I mean, you're going back to Minnesota. You've got a 3-1 lead. We know the history there. Only 13 teams in NBA history have ever come back from a 3-1 deficit to win a series. Forget about winning a series. The Warriors just need to climb back into it. They needed to pick up one of these games in San Francisco to give themselves a little opportunity, a little time, a little cushion to get Steph Curry back healthy. And they didn't do that. And as Avery said, even if Steph comes back, what kind of Steph are you getting? Are you getting the real Steph, or are you getting some approximation of Steph? So yes, if I'm the Wolves, I don't want to give the Warriors any more opportunity or any more time to try to climb back into this thing or get any semblance of a healthy Steph Curry back into this series. I think that they're going to try to close it out, and I think they will close it out in Game 5 on Wednesday.
Yeah, going to have to play a lot of high basketball IQ. Sometimes the Wolves, they get into their own heads and they make careless turnovers and decisions. But on this night, they win the game and they're up 3-1 on the Golden State Warriors. Avery Johnson, John Gonzalez, we appreciate the time, y'all. And listen, when the Warriors are without Steph in the playoffs, it's not looking so good for them this season, right? In the previous years, they were 4-2 and 5-1 in 2016 and 2018, respectively. But those were different teams, right? New roster, some core pieces, of course, stayed the same. But this year, it is very, very bleak for the Warriors when Steph Curry does not play.